Shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to Reading with Shilo. Welcome back, baby. We in here. Welcome back. My dictionary. For the next edition of Chapter 4 of The Valley of the Dry Bones by Dr. Rudolphf R.WINDSOR. No, sir, I'm just starting. I'm just starting. Yes, sir. We're about to get into part 2 of chapter 4. Huh?
Daddy?
No, I'm going to read.
I'm going to after you're done.
Yes, okay. After I'm done, I'll let you know what's going on. All right. I hope everybody's had a nice night, a good day so far. A good day so far. And we're going to get into it, man. We're going to get into it in here in just a second. I'm going to give just a little bit for some people to come in. Welcome, welcome to all the new subscribers. Man, like, comment, subscribe, tell your people. Engage with me about what you hear. Just about any comment. You know, engage, leave some type of engagement. Let me know where you're from. You know, what books do you read? Do you read? Do you read? Because I'm trying to become an avid reader, and I'm doing that with y'all. So, but I think that's good. But let's get into it. The Valley of the Dry Bones, Chapter 4, Part 2. Part 2. The White Jews versus the Black Jews conspiracy. The White Jews versus the Black Jews conspiracy. In the year 1969, until the present day, a latent controversy grew in greater proportions about the Black Israelites. The controversy centered around the fact that the Jewish community in the United States and the state of Israel denied categorically that the Black Hebrew Israelites were culturally connected with the ancient nation Israel and were the descendants of the ancient 12 tribes of Israel. This vehement controversy evolved because of two major events. The first was a domestic event that manifested itself with the publication of the book From Babylon to Timbuktu. The pertinent information in this book, relevant to our subject under discussion, here is the assertion that the ancient Israelites were Black, that they migrated to most parts of Africa, and that these Israelites were transported as slaves to the Americas. The second event was an international one. A group of Black Israelites in 1969 departed from the city of Chicago and landed in Liberia, West Africa. After residing in Liberia a short time, they departed for the land of Israel. When they arrived in Israel, the first, second, and third groups were admitted to the country and given tourist visas, pending a decision on their permanent status. Tourist visas are temporary permits that can be renewed at any time, depending on the discretion of the government. The Black Israelites claimed that they were bona fide descendants of Israel. The government claimed that they were not Jews, but Blacks pretending to be Jews. Moreover, the Orthodox rabbis control the portfolio of immigration to the land of Israel, and they maintain that the Black Israelites must undergo formal conversion in order to acquire permanent citizenship. This, the Israelites refused to do, asserting that we are already Israelites, and there is no need to convert. The state of Israel and the Black Israelites were now deadlocked, neither side budging one bit. I recognize that the fact that the rabbinical Talmudic laws state that the Jew is one who has a Jewish mother, or one that converts to Judaism. According to this rationale, if the mother was not Jewish, or if she cannot prove her Israelite background through established records or witnesses, any offspring cannot be Jewish. This is Talmudic law based on the Torah or the Hebrew scriptures. Now, that's not in the Torah. I have never seen, he didn't write this, this is me. I have not seen, in the Bible where it says, based upon what your mother is what you are. The scriptures actually say based upon what your father is. Based upon what your father is what you are. This is the book of Numbers. The book of Numbers, chapter 1, verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month. And they declared their pedigrees, which is their lineage, after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward by their polls. Now, when you read the Bible, for those that do, you'll see that they're always, they're always putting a emphasis on the father. It's not really an emphasis on the mother as much. Yes, they'll tell who they are, but it doesn't matter whose house the mother came from, for the most part. As long as they're within the 12 tribes, for the most part. But it matters what the father is. What your father is what you are. That's why they would say, even back in the day, any little drop of black blood made you black. But anyway. Let's kill that noise. My bad. I was trying to see if I had the Talmud, but I don't. The state of Israel and the black Israelites are now deadlocked, neither side budging one bit. I recognize the fact that rabbinical Talmudic law states that a Jew is one who has a Jewish mother or one that converts to Judaism. According to this rationale, if the mother is not Jewish, or if she cannot prove her Israelite background through established records or witnesses, any offspring cannot be Jewish. This is Talmudic law based on the Torah or the Hebrew scriptures. Some people might ask, from what book of Hebrew scriptures the black rabbis derive their conclusions about the Jewish mother? It is written in Ezra 9 and 13 and 10 and 11 that the Jews had taken Canaanite and Moabite wives and had children by some of them. Ezra, the rabbi, and Nehemiah rebuked the Jews and commanded them to put away the strange wives. Why? Because the wives and mothers of the children were not Jews, Israelites. The wives had not converted to the Jewish religion. The children had not been reared in the Hebrew religion. And the children spoke in the language of their mothers and could not speak in the Jews' language, Hebrew. Read Nehemiah 13, verse 23 through 25. As a consequence of the events in that day, in the day of Ezra and Nehemiah, they enforced the law of the taking of strange wives and made it crystal clear that any children from those illegal unions were not Israelites or Jewish because the mother had not converted. The reason The reasoning on the broader level is this: the mother is with the children most of the time. She teaches and trains them. Whatever the mother is, the children will be also. But which I agree. As the mother is, so shall the daughter be, is the scripture. What she teaches, if that's like today. If you have a Hispanic mom and if she speaks Spanish all the time to you, but your father is American, don't speak no Spanish, your mother most likely is going to teach you Spanish because she's going to talk to you in it, and she's going to expect you to learn it. You're going to learn the things that whatever religion she is, you're going to learn it. Whatever food she eats, that's what you're going to eat. Likewise. But it was taking strange wives, it was told not to take strange wives in back in Leviticus. You're supposed to be with your own people. But it was to keep the bloodline pure. But the bloodline comes from the man, not from the woman. Through his seed. Oh, and they definitely didn't want them going into, because they were having them serving other gods. They didn't want you dropping your good seed in heathen soil. But hey, excuse me. Okay, I thought you was spraying my stuff, boy. I thought you was spraying my stuff. You playing? That's fine. That's fine. I thought you had I thought I left that door open and you were spraying my polyurethane. My bad. Apologies. I heard that noise. I gotta jump on it quick. There is a case in the book of Ruth wherein the Israelite Boaz married a Moabite woman. Was this marriage legal? Yes, it was. The Moabite woman, Ruth, converted. She said to Naomi, "Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God." These words of Ruth show her first step towards her complete conversion, a willing heart. As regards Ezra, he was a priest, a scribe, and a lawyer. The scribes in his days were interpreters and recorders of the law. By the time 168 BC, the scribes had developed into the Pharisees. The word for Pharisees in Hebrew is perushim, meaning interpreters of the law. The Pharisees also were called rabbis, which means teachers of the law or judges. Now, getting back to the rabbis, I have no fight against Talmudic law. In fact, the Talmud was compiled by the Black Israelite scribes, the rabbis between the years 500 BC and 500 AD. However, my fight is against the interpretation of the law rendered by certain narrow-minded white racist rabbis who interpreted Hebrew law in the strict sense rather than in the sympathetic, open-minded sense, in light of the prophecies and historical facts that shape modern conditions. These historical facts are detailed in my first book, From Babylon to Timbuktu, and the reader is advised to consult it. In short, this book describes the migrations of the ancient Israelites to most parts of Africa. There, the European captured them and transported them to America. On the other hand, there are the prophecies of the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy and others, which I explained earlier in the chapter on curses. According to these curses, many of the Israelites were supposed to lose their country, history, dignity, power, language, culture, traditions, and family connections. Let me explain a prophetic verse from Deuteronomy 28:32 in order to make a relevant point about the loss of family connections. This verse reads as follows: "Thy son and thy daughter shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail for longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hands to save them. Now, these white rabbis want the black Israelites to submit family records to prove that they are Israelites. Now, tell me, how in the world can black Israelites possess written family records when a son and a daughter were sold as slaves to different masters hundreds of miles apart, and it was illegal for a slave to learn to read or write? It is ridiculous. It is comparable to putting a man's eyes out and then asking him, can he see? In regard to conversion, it is like confessing that we are not Israelites. It is like endorsing a racist system with its distortions of the black man's history. Furthermore, we are reclaiming our heritage and returning to the true God. I shall reclaim, but shall not use your term conversion. Black Israelites own their synagogues, houses of prayer, and temples. They don't need your hypocritical conversions. The Creator God said, and it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curses, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether the Lord thy God hath driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I commanded thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thine soul. That then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whether the Lord thy God scatter thee. Italics are the authors. The command of the Creator God to his people is to return unto him. This means to reclaim and return to the law of God. Reclamation is the direction for the Israelites to take. Reclamation is the direction for the Israelites to take. Shalom, shalom. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you. We're just trying to see what we can learn and grow from. Let's read a little bit, see what we can learn and grow from. Maybe you don't believe you're Israelite. Maybe, you serve another God, but your God that you serve has statutes, laws, guidelines. Maybe you're not doing them. Maybe you should. But the God of the Israelites that Mr. Rudolphf R.WINDSOR is talking about says that we need to serve him if you believe in him. You need to do what you're supposed to do. And his people will be lost because of that. So there has to be a retraining of the mind. There can't be a retraining of the mind if there's no discussion. There cannot be a retraining of the mind if there's no discussion about it. And then after discussion, application. Reclamation is the direction for the Israelites to take, and conversion is for non-Israelites. Many white Jews will no doubt ask the question, how can you call us racist when we have suffered for centuries? And recently, we lost 6 million in Nazi persecution. Indeed, they have suffered all kinds of prejudice. They should know the feelings of Black people who are the victim of prejudice, and there should be virtually no prejudice among them. Nevertheless, I have observed the racism among them. And I shall detail more acts of prejudice within Jewish institutions throughout the world, particularly in the state of Israel. The acts of racism must be exposed. The Black Israelites have suffered for thousands of years until now. The Black people are suffering in South Africa. The extreme right wing and the Ku Klux Klan are moving throughout America like a tornado. The urgency of the times demand that the voices of militancy and justice be heard. The urgency of the times demand that the voices of militancy and justice be heard. That is not the most, or that is, this is not the time for moderation. Let me quote you the words of one of the great abolitionists, William Lloyd Garrison, a white man. I will be as harsh as truth and as uncompromising as justice. On this subject, slavery, I do not wish to think, speak, or write with moderation. No, no, tell a man whose house is on fire to give a moderate alarm. Tell him to moderately rescue his wife from the hands of a ravisher. Tell the mother to gradually extricate her baby or her babe from the fire to which it has fallen. But urge me not to use moderation in a cause like the present. I am in earnest. I will not equivocate. I will not equivocate. Let's see. Equivocate. 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 Oh shit. My dictionary. Let's see. Equivocate. Let's see what it means. Equivocate. 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 To use equivocal language, especially with intent to deceive, to avoid committing oneself in what one says. Let me see what equivocal. Equivocal. A subject to two or more interpretations, used to mislead or confuse, uncertain as indication or sign, of uncertain nature or classification. I will not avoid committing oneself in what one says. I will not excuse. I will not retreat in a single inch. I will not equivocate. To avoid committing oneself in what one says. I will not equivocate. I will not excuse. I will not retreat a single inch. I will be heard. Pertaining to the subject of racism, there are various degrees of racists. There are primary or overt racists. These racists don't conceal their thoughts or acts. An example of this is the Ku Klux Klan. Moreover, there are the secondary or covert racists. Sometimes these can be the worst kind because they are hard to detect. Behaving in sly ways. Many white people and some Jews don't shout in public, "Hey, you nigga." Jews don't advise the incarceration of blacks in concentration camps. Jews don't burn Ku Klux Klan crosses nor lynch black people. In view of this, what is the racism of the Jewish institutions and the government of the state of Israel? This racism is the guilt by gross omission and distortion of the history of the original Black Israelites. This racism is guilt by gross neglect of the interests and feeling of Black Israelites and simultaneously pretending that the white Jews are the classical friends of the Black people in America. Who are the Falashas? Who are the Falashas? The Ethiopian Black Jews. The Falashas, or Ethiopian Jews, were discovered by the European world during the 18th and 19th centuries. First by James Bruce and then by Joseph Halevy. Joseph Halevy in 1870. Halevy. Halevy. Before the white man came to the Falasha country, they never knew that any other white Jews existed and were surprised. According to the traditions and records of the Falashas, they are the descendants of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba through their son Menelik. That book is, I believe, is the Kebra Nagas. The Kebra Nagas, which I don't have. I would love to have though. I have to get it. I was supposed to get it years ago. But I wasn't reading like that. Not like I'm reading now. According to the traditions and the records of the Falashas, they are the descendants of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, through their son Menelik. According to their records, Solomon sent 1,000 Hebrews from each of the 12 tribes of Israel to Menelik. They retained the Hebrew culture, and from them the Falashas are descended. Even the former emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, claimed descent from Menelik. And it is evident that before Christianity came to Ethiopia, there were Jews in Ethiopia. The Falashas consequently called their religious leaders priests in the traditions of the Torah and strictly followed the Mosaic law regarding diet, festivals, circumcision, ritual purification, and the Sabbath. Let me read that again. The Falasha consequently called their religious leaders priests in the traditions of the Torah and strictly follow the Mosaic laws regarding diet. Leviticus 11, Deuteronomy 14, festivals. Leviticus 23, circumcision. It's in Genesis with Abraham. Ritual purification, also in Leviticus. And Sabbath, and the Sabbath. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. It is multiple places, which is observed in their synagogues built with the ark for the law and the shield of David, the Star of David, or at least that's what they call it. For the past 3,000 years, let me see something right quick. There's a book called Signs and Symbols. We're going to see if that is called the Star of David in here. We're going to see. Let's see. Star. Star. The moon, the sun. Now, I haven't looked in this book. Here we go. It says the 6-pointed star. Let me see what it says. Let's see what it says. Now, I would love to see where this is at in the scriptures, because I don't see this in the scriptures, but let's see what it says. Six-pointed star, known as the hexagram, or the Star of David in Judaism. This star is formed from two triangles, symbols of the male and female principles. It is a symbol for the link between heaven and earth and represents the union of opposites and creation. The symbol is known as the Seal of Solomon, after the design on a ring owned by the prophet King Solomon. Some people also call it the Star of Molech. Molech is another god. What's up? For the past 3,000 years, the Falashas have lived as Jews in Ethiopia. This was before any Jews ever lived in Europe. In the 3rd century, they numbered over 1 million. In the 16th century, their number was reduced to 500,000. By the 18th century, their number had declined to 250,000. To date, there are only 25,000 left. Their declining numbers are attributed to disease, poverty, and distress among the young, who are like sharecroppers on Christian land and drifting away from the immediate community in search of jobs. European missionaries for many years have been successfully making the Falashas a special target. The persecution of the Black Jews of Ethiopia. The persecution of the Black Jews of Ethiopia. You good, my man? You got the truck? Good job. Are you going to play with that truck, or are you going to come read with Daddy? You going to come read with Daddy? If you coming to leave that truck there. If you're coming to read with Daddy, you leave the truck there and you come sit up here and let's read. What you going to do? You going to play with the truck? If you want to play with the truck, that's fine. You want to read? Okay, yes, sir.
Sir.
All right. Let's sit up here. Let's sit up here and read. Let's read about the persecution of the Black Jews of Ethiopia. Although some sincere white Jews, such as Jackie Faitlovich, J.I. Fishbein, Dr. Harold, Mario Felsher, and a few others did a great deal to help the Falashas. Much of their efforts and pleading to assist the Falashas in immigrating to the land of Israel fell on deaf ears. The Jewish world, including the state of Israel, said that there was no adequate proof that the Falashas are Jews. Therefore, where are you going? Okay, that's fine. Therefore, in the beginning, very little was done to help them. Whenever the white Jew brought back a report about the details of Falasha life and history, the white Jewish world asked the question, are they really Jews? This was like asking if they could be Jews and Black too. Most of the Jewish world treated the Falasha issue as if they were monkeys in a zoo. By their behavior, the white Jewish world made it plain, by implication, that they could not believe they could be associated with Black Jews. But if no one is surprised that a Black person is a Christian, then they should not be surprised at a Black Jew, because Black Jews were in Africa 1,300 years before the birth of Christianity. If no one is surprised, that's not how you ask.
I read my water in my tub, Daddy.
That's not how you ask.
I read water in my tub, please, Daddy.
That's better. Now you have to wait.
Wait.
Yes, sir. You have to wait. I have a couple of more pages left to read. And once I'm finished reading those pages, I'll get up and get you some water. Huh? You see the bones? That's the trees right there. Where are the bones?
Right there.
That's right. Good job. Good job. Good job, son. Let me finish reading this and I'll get you some water, all right? Yes, sir. I'll get you some water. But if no one is surprised that a black person is a Christian, then they should not be surprised at a black Jew. Because black Jews were in Africa 1,300 years before the birth of Christianity. If no one is surprised about a black Muslim, then no one should be surprised about a black Jew. Because the black Jews existed in Asia and Africa 1,800 years before the birth of Muhammad. When the Pope came to America, he visited and accepted the black Catholics. When Muslims from Africa visited Mecca, they are accepted. But some Israelis do not accept black Jews. Since the Ethiopians, okay, don't worry about it. We'll look at it after that is finished reading, all right? But some Israelis do not accept black Jews. Since the Ethiopian military regime took power in September of 1974, after the ouster of Emperor Haile Selassie, the Ethiopian Jews have been facing extermination by their own countrymen to a more rapid degree. Ethiopian on Ethiopian crime is what I guess it would be called. Now, he said the regime refuses to extend the agrarian, let's see what that means. Agrarian, AG. AGRARIAN, agrarian. Almost sound like librarian. Agrarian. Do you know what an agrarian is? Because I don't. Agrarian. AGRA. Agrarian. AGRARIAN, agrarian. You gotta go pee. Excuse me right quick. Excuse me for a second. Come on, let's go. Hurry up. Let's go pee on the toilet. Hurry up. My bad. Thank you. Excuse me, my bad. Had to run from my boy on the toilet. Agrarian. Where were we? Agrarian. Excuse me. Agrarian. Of or relating to fields or lands and their tenure. Of relating to or characteristics of farmers or their way of life, organized or designed to promote agriculture interests. Agrarian. Now he said, the regime refuses to extend the member of an agrarian party or movement to extend the relating of or relating to fields or lands or the tenure. Yeah, that's better. Do not tear my pages. All right. Reform to include fallacious. To include fallacious ownership of land. Okay, it makes more sense now. Now, he said, the regime refuses to extend the agrarian reform or the pertaining to land of or relating to fields or lands of a tenure, of relating or to or characteristics of farmers or their way of life. So the land that they was getting in Israel, they didn't want to include the fallacious in that. The agrarian reform to include fallacious ownership of land, with the result that the fallacious are taken into slavery or murder. He reported that some 2,000 fallacious fled from their villages to avoid being sold into slavery, but many more could not escape this fate. Jonas also describes atrocities against fallacious, including the raping of young girls in front of their parents and forcing young girls to work as slaves for several families at the same time. He also recited the case of a Jewish woman whose breasts were cut off to prevent her nursing her infant. And after 100 years of procrastination, procrastination. That's when you take too long to do something. Procrastination. After 100 years of procrastination, the white Jewish rabbis finally recognized the fallacious as bona fide Jews in 1975. In January of 1979, a group of 300 fallacious demonstrated outside Premier Begin's office, complaining that the Israeli government and the Zionist institutions were doing too little to rescue Ethiopian Jews. Hold on, son. Wait. There you go. Thank you. For 30 years, we have waited patiently for action to be done, but to no avail. As is now known, the Israelis that began the secret airlift of Ethiopian Jews to Israel. The Jewish agency rejected charges by the fallacious that the Jewish agency, had acted with indifference to the plight of the Ethiopian Jews. The agency made it clear that it felt restricted, for obvious reasons, from publicizing its efforts on behalf of the fallacious, and therefore could not address itself to the charges in full. Moreover, Begin appealed to the fallacious to maintain a low profile in their current campaign on behalf of their fellow fallacious, still in Ethiopia. The Israel government claimed that it was not unconcerned about the plight of the Philosophes. However, are there any counter views concerning this issue? Yes. We have the distinguished, respectable Dr. Graham Berger, a white Jew who differs with the Jewish authorities. He said that the 28,000 Philosophes are facing extermination because of the indifference of the Jewish world. This is true for Israel and the Jewish agency. And strangely, it is also true for the American Jewish leadership, which has always been concerned with the plight of the Black non-Jews. Dr. Berger could be considered an authority on the problem of Ethiopian Jews. He was founder and president of the American Association for Ethiopian Jews. After the Jewish establishment is not if, I can't see. That's no, those are wasps. Wasps. If their Jewish establishment is not biased, then how does one answer the following questions? Number one, why didn't they invite the Philosophes or other dark-skinned Jews to the meeting of the World Zionist Organization, which began in 1897? Or number two, why did the Jewish establishment take 100 years to recognize the Philosophes as Jews? Definitely good questions. Definitely good questions. Andrew Young versus the white Jews. Andrew Young versus the white Jews. A ladybug.
On the TV.
I can't see. It's a beetle. Andrew Young versus the white Jews. For many years, it has been the continuous, relentless policy of the world Jewish community to expedite the emigration of Jews from Russia. The Jewish organization in this country have employed the power of their abundant money and political clout in the highest office of this land to secure the immigration of the Jews from Russia. One special incident is worth mentioning. During the Carter administration, I can't see, it looked like a water bug. Mm-hmm. During the Carter administration, a roach. A praying mantis. Okay, now we'll look at that. You can continue looking at it, but let Daddy finish reading this book, The Valley of the Dry Bones. I'm not trying to read critters, insects, and other things. Right? I don't know. We'll have to look at that later, all right? We'll have to look at the bugs later. During the Carter administration, a unique episode ensued concerning two Russian dissidents, Anatoly Skorinsky and Alexander Ginsburg. The Russian government had indicted these Jews for political crimes against the state. The Jewish world, particularly in the United States, organized a swift challenge against the indictments. The news media gave almost daily reports about the trials, and the Jews in the United States procured the assistance of President Carter and his Secretary of State, Cyrus Vance. At that time, a reporter asked Andrew Young, while he was in Europe, about the Russian Jewish political prisoners lingering in the American jails. Almost the entire nation, especially the whites, took offense to his statement. They accused Andy of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. To them, it was the wrong time because the American government was negotiating with the Russians for the release of the Jewish political prisoners. It doesn't go that way. Turn it around, DJ. Turn it around. I want the spine of the book to be to the outside. There you go. Yes, sir. you're not paying attention to how you doing. Push it in now. Thank you. Are you trying to put that one up? That's fine. Put it like this. Thank you.
This is what no, there's a ball, Daddy.
Almost the entire nation, especially the whites, took offense to his statement. They accused Andy of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. To them, it was the wrong time because the American government was negotiating with the Russians for the release of the Jewish political prisoners. Another fact that give a clear indication of the racism of the Ashkenazi Jews is that the chief Ashkenazi rabbi, Shlomo Goren, and other state officials who controlled the government did not recognize the falashas as bona fide Jews until 1975. However, the chief Sephardic rabbi, Ovadia Yosef, put it right next to the green spider book. That's fine. Or on the other side. Put it on the other side of the spider book.
Okay.
No, you had it the right way, son. You had it the right way. I just want you to put it here on this side. Yes, sir. Put it in between. Put it right next to the dinosaurs. Yes, sir. The dinosaur book goes next to the dinosaurs. Yes, sir. Like things like each other. Put the like things next to each other. However, the chief Sephardic rabbi, Ovadia Yosef, leader of the Afro-Asian Jews, recognized the falashas in 1973, in spite of the fact that the Sephardic Jew has very little control in the government. This condition attests to the fact that educational, cultural, social, racial, and political divisions exist in the Jewish world and in the Israeli society. What I'm reading? I'm reading The Valley of the Dry Bones.
The Valley of the Dry Bones.
That's what I'm reading. That is the book that I'm reading.
And with the other side, it's a dry bones.
Yes, sir. Those are the dry bones.
It's a dry bones.
That's a tree, son.
And
Come on. No, my arm. Two Israeli societies. Recognizing the fact that social and political division exists in the Jewish world. No, we're on this side of the page. On this side. No, sir. This side.
This side.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Recognizing the fact that social and political division exists in the Jewish world and in the Israeli society, do we have any historical and prophetic material that predicted this condition? First of all, after the death of King Solomon in the 10th century BC, the ancient nation of Israel was divided into two separate political entities. The northern kingdom, consisting of 10 tribes, was called Israel, and the southern kingdom, consisting of one tribe.
One tribe.
That is wrong.
There's one. Oh, there's one.
It's not one tribe. Because there was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi who were the southern kingdom. Consisting of one tribe was called Judah. 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 29 through 32. And in First Kings. 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 29. 1 Kings chapter 11.
Daddy. If I Daddy.
Let me see if it's gonna say it. 29. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 29. And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah, the Shilonite, found him in the way. And he had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it into 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee. But he shall have one tribe for his servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, because that they have forsaken me. And have worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways to do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did David his father.
New eyes.
I'll have to come back later and find that verse where it shows Judah, Benjamin, and Levi were in the southern kingdom. We'll come back to it. Maybe. In 1 Kings chapter 12 and 19, we learn that the northern kingdom rebelled against the house of David in Judah. Furthermore, we learn that Jeroboam, the king of Israel, established two pagan national shrines, one in Bethel and the other in Dan, in order to divert the loyalty of the 10 tribes from Jerusalem in Judah to pagan sites in the northern kingdom. King Jeroboam did not want his subjects to recognize the kingdom of Judah, and there was great bitterness between the two kingdoms. The Israeli government today represents this ancient kingdom of Israel. Hell no. In a symbolic sense. Just as the United States represents modern Babylon, the persecutor of the Afro-Israelites. As an inspired researcher, I have numerous reasons to support my contention. Israelites, Jews, or Hebrews are supposed to be divided people until the latter days. The coming of the Messiah, the son of David, Yeah, I was messing up. I'm messing up. Israelites, Jews, or Hebrews are supposed to be divided people until the latter days, the coming of the Messiah, the son of David. Period. I was about to run on. The modern day state of Israel represents the ancient northern kingdom of Israel for these reasons. The present Israel is the same name as the ancient kingdom of Israel. Ancient Israel was located in the northern part of Palestine. The first Jews who returned to the state of Israel in modern time came from mainly European countries, which are in the north. The vast majority of the Sephardic and non-white Jews came from Afro-Asian countries, which are in the south. And the Afro-Asian Jews represent the ancient southern kingdom of Judah, which was in the southern section of Palestine. The ancient northern kingdom of Israel directed the loyalty to their people from the kingdom of Judah, so that they would not recognize the kingdom of Judah. The parallel today is that It is the tendency of many Israelis, Northern Kingdom, and Europeans is to feel superior to the Afro-Asian Jews, who are represented under the ancient Southern Kingdom of Judah. Yes, sir. Of Judah. There you go. Most Jews from the ancient kingdom of Judah fled into Africa. 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 Good job. During the duration of 2,000 years of exile and captivity, the European Jews of the Afro-Asian Jew and the Afro-Asian Jews moved wider and wider apart. They became separated geographically, culturally, racially, and ideologically. European Jews thought like Europeans, and Afro-Asian Jews thought like Afro-Asians, as they should have thought, because Israel is in the Afro-Asian world, not in Europe. The prophets foresaw and mentioned the long-continued division between European Jews and Afro-Asian Jews. The Bible don't say nothing about that. It talks about Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, but it doesn't say European Jews and Afro-Asians. But if you're going by color, Asian Judeans, when they spoke of the two ideological and political units, Judah and Israel, this is what the Lord said by the mouth of Jeremiah the prophet. And I will cause the captivity of Judah and the captivity of Israel to return, and I will build them as at the first. Jeremiah 33, verse 7. There are two separate cultural and political units mentioned throughout the Hebrew scriptures, and Judah is always distinct from Israel. Other places where these distinctions are found are Jeremiah 50 and 4, Joel 3, 1 verses 1 and 2, Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 16, Isaiah chapter 11, verse 12, Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 16, and Hosea chapter 11, verse 12. When I visited Israel some years ago, I recognized these distinctions. I saw Jews from India who were blacker than any African. These black Jews have some problems with white Jews. Other Afro-Asian Judeans had to organize themselves in order to fight discrimination. One such organization was the Panthers, modeled after the Black Panthers in the United States, who were extremely militant in the 1960s. The Panthers in Israel, the Panthers in Israel were not associated with the Black Panthers in the United States, but they told me that they identified and sympathized with the struggle of the Black people in the United States. Another fact that indicates the cultural division in Israel is that most European Jews are very concerned that Israel will become more and more Eastern in culture rather than European. It needs to be. They scared. They are scared. Another fact that indicates the cultural division in Israel is that many European Jews are very concerned. They are very concerned. You very concerned, my boy? They don't want Israel to get too dark. They are very concerned. That Israel will become more and more Eastern in culture. Good job. Rather than European. These Jews forgot that Judaism developed in the Afro-Asian world, not Europe. Moreover, the cultural division in the state of Israel was so enormous that the situation required the establishment of two separate chief rabbis. As I have mentioned before, one chief rabbi is leader of the Afro-Asian Judeans, representing the kingdom of Judah, and the other chief rabbi is the leader of the European Jews, representing the ancient kingdom of Israel, as I wrote earlier. The unity of Jews and Israelites. We only got one more page. One more page. The unity of Jews and Israelites. Although there has been deep division between European Jews and Afro-Asian Israelites, the prophets predicted that there will be harmony and unity in the latter days. At the time of the coming of the Messiah, the son of David, the Lord God said to Ezekiel, although there has been deep division between European Jews and Afro-Asian Israelites, the prophets predicted that there will be harmony and unity in the latter days at the time of the coming of the Messiah, the son of David. The Lord God said to Ezekiel, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph. The stick, write upon it. For Joseph. The stick of Ephraim. And for all the house of Israel. Of Israel. His companies. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand. Hey, you better make sure you tell me when you gotta go pee, all right? Okay, we're almost done then. Yes, sir, I'm almost done reading. Yes, sir. All right. Yes, sir, that's where we are. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribe of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 16 through 19. Now, let me explain the symbolism of the two sticks. Two sticks. Yes, sir. These sticks represent the two separate divisions of the Jews and Israelites. God commanded Ezekiel to write on one stick the name of the tribe and kingdom of Judah, Afro-Asian Israelites. In the 16th verse, the phrase, the children of Israel, his companions, referred to those Israelites who resided within the borders of the kingdom of Judah. 2 Chronicles chapter 10, verse 17. The Creator God commanded Ezekiel to write on the second stick the name of the tribe of Ephraim for Joseph. Ephraim was the son of Joseph. Genesis chapter 48, verse 1. Furthermore, good job. Ephraim became founder of the ruling tribe and capital of the northern kingdom of Israel in 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 19 through 25. In fact, Ephraim is the nickname of the northern kingdom of Israel. Many verses in the Hebrew scriptures confirm this fact. Read Hosea chapter 5, verse 9. Now we understand that the Creator God is going to take the two sticks symbolizing the two kingdoms, including the European Jews and Afro-Asian Israelites, and make them one in his hands. This means that he will unite all of these Jews, Hebrews, and Israelites. Then they shall be one nation, not two nations. They shall be one people, not two people. Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 22. For 3,000 years, they were separated by hatred, jealousy, and racism. But the Creator God will change all this when he sends the Messiah, the son of David. Yes. In the latter days, one shepherd Our righteous leader will rule over all the Jews, Israelites and Hebrews. There will not be two chief rabbis in the state of Israel, as there are today. Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 2, and verses 3 through 24. But this day has not arrived yet, and conditions will get worse before they get better. Ooh-wee. That's it right there, baby. That is the end of part 2 of chapter 4. We only have one more chapter left to read, which is chapter 5. All this is chapter 5. Chapter 5.
It is chapter 5.
That's chapter 4 down to the valley of the dry bones. The valley of the dry bones.
That's the dry bones.
Yes, sir. That is the dry bones. That's the trees.
That's trees.
Can you count the trees? Count.
1, 2, 3, 5.
Almost. Good job. Good job. Good job. Boom.
You are done, Daddy?
Yes, sir. I'm done reading for today. That is today's edition of Reading with Shilo. Reading with Shilo. Say Shilo.
What's that?
On my skin. Some stuff I shouldn't have got.
And you didn't?
Yeah, on my skin.
And you didn't?
Yeah, on my skin. On your, not you. On not you skin.
Is that my dad?
Yeah, on my skin. On your. Say your. Say your. Can you say your for that? Your shirt, your skin, your shorts, your boots, your hair.
I got my boots on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for those who stuck with me majority of the time. Thank you for those who do come back and listen. If you do, please leave comments. Give me some engagement. Let's see what you think about what's being read, about what you hear. And we'll come back next time with chapter 5. World War III. World War III and its secret cause. Chapter 5. World War III and its secret cause. The Valley of the Dry Bones. By Dr. Rudolphf R. Windsor. Windsor. Yeah. So that's that. Thank you, sir. Please get my book, sir. So that's that, man. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your people. Let's get the conversations going. Let's read, learn, and see what we could grow from. Out of the books you have. I'm gonna read from the books I got.
You're done, Daddy?
Yes, sir. I'm done. So we can try to build our nation back up.
Daddy?
Yes, sir. I'm done reading.
Done reading?
Yes, sir. I gotta finish it off.
You're
But
done reading?
Shalom. All the new subscribers.
DJ out.
DJ out. Man out. Shallow out.
Out.
Till next time.
Daddy.
Shalom. Say shalom.
Shalom.
All right.
How we did from Artemis Pine to the truck.